Ladies and gentlemen, I am back with another video. And with this video, basically the idea is that I can give you kind of a guideline with my personal experiences, thoughts, and opinions based off these excellent Xbox 360 games that are available via backwards compat, to let you guys know that perhaps may not be aware of what games are available from 360 that were actually pretty good, or at the very least, decent. So, obviously not all of you will agree with me, and not all of you might not like what I have to say. So for those of you who do not agree with me and don't like what I'm saying, obviously this video is not for you, so you don't have to bother to watch the rest of it, and you can move along. Now, for those of you who are interested in knowing and trying to see what is that I'm actually talking about, and are curious about my thoughts and respect my gaming prowess and experience as far as to offering you a choice of what games I think are good that you might like, then sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the video. So here we go. We're on the Xbox 360 dashboard on the backwards compatibility tablet tile, a section. And the first game, as you see there, we have is Matt Hazard. Okay, now Matt Hazard is a 2D side scroller, which I believe, I'm not really sure, click into it please, I believe it's a two-player co-op. Go down, I gotta read the two-player co-op, I believe, either via online and through couch co-op. It's based off a character that was from the 8-bit era on a game called The Adventures of Hazard Land. I heard it was on the NES. I don't remember it, but it could have been something that was also on PC. So again, let me turn that off. It's a very good game. It was priced accordingly. It's been on sale several times, and go back. I highly recommend it as a fun co-op game. Then, of course, we have the arcade classic Shinobi. If you guys are into the retro arcade perfect style, Shinobi is arcade perfect for the achievements at the very least. If you don't already own the Genesis collection, you can own it individually just for achievements if you're an achievement hunter. The other game I own on this first row is Hardcore Uprising. Hardcore Uprising is basically, click in real quick if you can, is basically a spiritual successor to Contra. It's published by Konami. And it's a two-player co-op game that you can play via backwards compat, couch co-op rather, and online. I played with my boy Megatron for a little bit. He was enjoying himself. This is Contra Hardcore Uprising. Very good game, and also worth the purchases from the guys who did Guilty Gear X, and which is Arc System Works, if I believe correctly. The art style is exactly the same. It has animations in it, and Japanese animation on the characters, and the levels and the backgrounds are all in 3D. Today they just added also from the Sega Saturn Radiant Silvergun, which is an amazing shooter that's been really highly regarded. Goes very expensive in the aftermarket for almost $200. It's available via backwards compat. They also included virtual on the arcade one. I forgot the last version of it, actually, from Sega. I forgot what was the name of it. The whole thing was virtual on something via backwards compat. And they also added Wolf Commando 3, which is like a reimagination, or the third part to Commando that existed in the arcades back in the NES era, which also came out for the NES, which is also 3-player co-op. I believe it's online too, and via couch co-op. So that's another one I can recommend. Bullet Souls here, Infinite Burst, are actually two games that came out in Japan It's Bullet Souls. It's I believe it's a shooter, a plane shooter, as we call them. It's supposed to be really good. It came out for the first time now, since it's region free, the Xbox One, available via backwards compat. It was never available for the Xbox 360 when it was, still the relevant system at that point. Go back. They also added, it was highly, has high regard, so I think it's worth getting. And the bottom there you see is Bullet Souls, I think 1, in that corner next to Geometry Wars. And that one's supposed to be this first one to the one that we just saw. I think they're priced accordingly. I'm not really sure. I think they're 15 each, but they're supposed to be really high rated. So I think it's a good buy if you're into shooters of guns. Let's continue. Of space shooters rather, like R-Type. From this list, also Dead Space 3, obviously, and Dead Space 2. Wonderful action third-person games from EA. One of the best new IPs and franchise of last generation. Very good games. I believe Dead Space 3 is couch co-op. And very cinematic. Definitely worth checking out if you don't own them. We continue on to the next row. Time Shift, I have for a fact. I've played that before. Pretty decent game. One of the first Xbox 360 launch games. So it's kind of dated, but still holds well. Assault Heroes 2, which is the first game there. Also a nice little game. I forgot who published it, but it's a 2D side scroller with vehicles and you get on your feet with the little characters. Really nice game. Then of course we have Contra. Contra is arcade perfect version of the original from Konami. Also you can play it via online and couch co-op. Obviously the Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I don't even have to really say anything. Everybody knows about that. Continue, go down. Far Cry 3, I believe, is available also via Xbox One. I'm not sure, but if it's not, I'm sorry. That one's decent. Army of Two, very excellent series as well. Very nice, underrated. Darksiders, we have the remasters 1 and 2. If you don't want to get them, you have the originals, which are a lot cheaper to purchase on the aftermarket. Assassin's Creed Revelations, probably the best and most cinematic one of all. Stacking's a pretty decent game. It's almost like a chess game. Daytona USA obviously is the arcade perfect version of it, so definitely worth getting, especially if it has HD graphics and in 1080p gloriness instead of 420. We go on to the next row. We have the excellent Street Fighter 4, but too bad it's not the one with all the Ultra one with all the bells and whistles, which I think they'll probably add soon. We have Cars 2, which is good for the kids. Dead Rising 2, Case West, which is decent. Case 0, which is Dead Rising 2 as well. They're like DLCs. Meet the Robinsons, good for the kids as well. Continue. Assassin's Creed Rogue, which I never played, which we own because it came out only for 360 after the launch of the Xbox One, so I would have to try it out. Borderlands 2 for the Borderlands fans. Alan Wake, fantastic game, masterpiece from Remedy. If you guys never got to play it, check it out. Plus Alan Wake American Nightmare, which is the additional story DLC that was only $5. I believe it still is $5. Excellent game. Continue. Alice Madness Returns, fantastic action platformer in the world of Alice McGee with a very Tim Burton gritty type of feel. Fantastic gameplay, amazing game, very underrated. Didn't do well last gen. A lot of people didn't even try it out, overlooked it. Definitely should try it out and pick it up. Alien Hominid HD, been around since the PS2 era. Very good game, very fun 2D shooter. Short. I would recommend get it when it's on a sale price. Altered Beast, another arcade perfect translation of an old school Sega classic with achievements. Can't go wrong. Definitely recommend. Good, cheap in price. Aqua is another very good shooter, top down, but with boats. Kind of like in the same vein as Diablo and Commando. It's has a little strategy to it, but not too overwhelming. Nice graphics. I believe Square Enix might be the publisher. If I could be wrong. Excellent game. I think it's $5. Obviously, the Assassin's Creed series that don't really need any praising because you guys know what to expect. Go down. Continue. The Banjo series, all of these here, Banjo-Kazooie from the 64. These are all included in the Rare Replay or separate. All of them are worth checking out. Nuts and Bolts, Banjo-Tooie, and I believe the first one that was a 64 original. Those are really good. Battlefield 3, another good game. And definitely a good entry if you want to start into the Battlefield world. They even have Battlefield Bad Company back there, which I really never played, I'll be honest with you. Bayonetta, an absolute masterpiece from Platinum Games. Hidden Gem, a super classic for those who never tried it. Even Bayonetta 2 on the Wii U is worth owning just for that game alone. We have Beyond Good and Evil HD, which is the best version of this game, which also came out in the PS2 era. For those now excited for the announcement of Beyond Good and Evil 2, which has been in the works for over 10 years, I would highly recommend for you to check it out. It's a fun action platformer with some good game mechanics in the Pokemon Snap style and vein. We continue with Bionic Commando Rearmed. This is not to be mistaken by the 3D Bionic Commando that look like the Gears of War style with and behind the camera third-person game. This is a 2D side-scroller. You have the first one as well. I don't know if the first one is backwards compatible yet, but this sequel is co-op. I think it's via couch and online. Definitely worth picking up. Very fun action platformer with shooting elements and the grappling hook, of course, the traditional grappling hook. I highly recommend it if you haven't played it, and it's a pretty fair price. Obviously, the BioShock series, if you don't own the new BioShock Remastered. Then we have 4 games here that are really, really good. They're pretty, consider them hidden gems. Maybe with the exception of Blood of the Werewolf, that it's a little bit low budget, but the price in the game is very cheap. So you kind of get what you pay for. You don't really overpay, but it's still a fun game all in all. But Blood Knights is excellent. It's a 2-player game. Kind of like an over-the-top camera as well, and behind from a distance, a back over-the-shoulder camera, but from a little bit from afar. It's a hack and slash with a gothic feel. You fight demons and orcs and things of that nature. Very cool, very stylized. I don't know if it's an exclusive. It might have been for the Xbox arcade marketplace, but don't quote me on that. Bloodforge is definitely an exclusive. I believe Microsoft owns the IP. It's a very Viking-heavy game. Hack and slash, plays a lot like God of War. Very stylized, but it's a smaller budget, of course. Excellent game, a lot of violence. Worth the purchase price because it's a lot of fun. Maybe you guys don't know about it, and it's backwards compatible. Blood Rain Betrayal, a 2D side-scrolling version of the Blood Rain series. Very good graphics, very stylized, like in the vein of Shank and Alien Hominid. Very anime and cartoon style look. Very good gameplay, very violent in the Blood Rain, tradition. Excellent game, fair price, highly recommend it. It's only a single player though, but highly recommend it. It's backwards compatible. Pick it up if you never played it. We continue with obviously Blue Dragon. If you never played it, turn-based from the creator of I believe of Dragon Ball Z. His very first entry in the realm of Xbox 360. Very high regarded. Didn't sell well, but very high regarded. Borderlands 1, Boom Boom Rocket. Excellent firework game. Bomberman's pretty awesome. Braid, which was praised. New upcoming that was praised all last gen because of the elements of platform in the game. Very stylized as well. Did very well. Bully, for all you Rockstar fans, that game was okay. That's a pretty decent pickup. I don't know about Bound by Flame, but I know it's also available, I believe, for PS4, like a next-gen, more touched-up version. I'm not really sure, though. We continue on. Burnout Paradise, one of the best and high regard versions of it. You know, Call of Duties, obviously. We have the arcade cabinet by Capcom. If you combine the package that unlocks all the games, you have Ghosts and Ghosts there. You got Trojan, Akari Wings, I think it's called. You know, a couple of good classics. You know, so for the achievements, if you want to go back and play them, they're all arcade perfect versions of them. And we continue on with Castle Crashers. That is the original, but they also had a remastered version with better resolution and better frame rate, which you actually got free if you own the original, so I got it free. But for those who did it, the Xbox 360 version is available via backwards compat. Excellent 4-player co-op game. You can play couch co-op or via online. Then we also have the wonderful Mickey Mouse and the Castle of Illusions, a remaster or reboots, if you will, or remake, completely from the ground up of the original Genesis game, which had a sequel called The World of Illusion with Donald Duck and never got made. I hope maybe Sega can somehow partner up with Disney and remake that one with the same developers, because they did a fantastic job with Castle of Illusions. Castlevania Symphony of the Night, what can I say? One of the greatest sought out Castlevanias of all time. Great music, very Metroidvania as well. It was available for the PS2 era and the Sega Saturn era, or PS1 era rather. Very expensive, highly regarded if you get it for any of those consoles. It has a very good price via backwards compat on 360 if you don't own it already. Catherine, very stylized Japanese game as well. It's kind of you got the kookiness of Persona and the gameplay style of like a Cuber. Very different, very stylized, very good. For $3, you can't go wrong. Then you have obviously these masterpieces here, which is Centipede and Millipede classics. Comic Jumper from Twisted Pixels, the same guys have done wonderful games like The Mall, Mr. and Mrs. Explosion Man, fucking Gunslinger for the Kinect, Local Cycle. Almost every game they've done has always been stylized and utterly wonderful. This is a 2D side scroller with a lot of parodies, a lot of kooky and raunchy dialogue, but plays like a dream. Comic Zone obviously is a Genesis collection classic that you can play here via the backwards compatibility and the Xbox 360 store from Sega. It was a Genesis release. Great beat 'em up that you're basically stuck within pages of a comic book, and you got to work your way out into the end of the story of the comic. So as we continue, Condemned, which I consider the original and real Outlast, that one that really kind of paved the way and started this new trend and genre that we have with horror, survivor horror games where you run, not really have a lot of combat, and you have all this weird things. It kind of reminds me of the movie Seven. It's very forensic heavy with investigation as you talk and play the game, and it has a lot of creepy moments with a killer, you know, with a very forensic, a very Seven style, like the movie Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, and obviously the great, oh my God, I can't think of his name right now, the gentleman, but in that vein, excellent game, good price. If you never played it, from Sega, download it, check it out, it's worth getting. Obviously, Crazy Taxi, Counter-Strike, Crazy Taxi's arcade perfect as well. Then Dark Souls 1, if you never played it. Dark Void was an excellent game in the vein of like Rocketeer from Capcom. Not the greatest as far as polish and production value, but it definitely had a lot of potential. And for $3, which is what you normally find it for, whether you buy it physical or maybe to the store, it's definitely worth the price playing it via compat if you never tried it. And the Blob 2 is pretty excellent as well, a little platform as well, sequel to the original. Give me a second, I'm going to cut to a quick break. And now, of course, we start with the next row, which is Dead Space 1, Dead Space Ignition, which is a little mini game based on the Dead Space universe. Death Spank, I heard is pretty decent. I never played it, I don't really own it, but I've heard through the grapevines where it's decent. Obviously, Deus Ex, The Human Revolution, which is the sequel, or the second part in that series. Dirt 3 is very high regards. Dirt Showdown. The classics Doom 1 and Doom 2 for the Cold Classics. Double Dragon Neo, excellent game. Excellent new interpretation of Double Dragon, 2-player co-op. The only unfortunate thing is you can't play it online. I found out the hard way with my boy 100. Dragon Age Origins, which is one of the first games from the Dragon Age series. The classic point-and-click original Heavy Rain type style game, Dragon's Lair from the Arcade Perfect. Donald Duck, the remaster, which is excellent, based off the remaster of the NES game. Excellent treatment, excellent game from Capcom as well, I believe. Very, definitely worth the purchase. Duke Nukem Project Manhattan is a 2D side-scroller version of the game. It's a little bit on the cheap side, but it definitely keeps the humor and appeal, of the game. I would recommend to only buy it if you can find it really cheap on a sale. Dungeons and Dragons, obviously this is part 1 and 2 of the arcades, hack and slash beat 'em ups from Capcom back in the arcades, which were available on Saturn and PS1, and they were an arm and a leg because I had to import it. Definitely worth the purchase. Earthworm Jim in HD, a beautiful rendition of, or touched up rendition of the Genesis classic. Now, obviously with more bells and whistles, cleaner graphics and details, and better audio quality, more stable frame rate, and better resolution. Every extended extra extreme, a really cool game. In the vein of Geometry Wars. Then we have Eat Lead. Eat Lead is a 3D version game of Matt Hazard, the one that we started in the beginning of the video. It plays in the same style as Gears of War. It's a shooter with a lot of parity. If you can find the game for $6-7 physically, it's definitely worth playing. It's a fun game. Quick couple of hours to play and kill off and have fun. And you get achievements if you like them. Next we have Escape of Dead Island. It's okay, not too bad. Third person perspective and story plot point arc in the Dead Island series. Obviously the Fable series. Fairy is a turn-based RPG, which a smaller title. We have the excellent Far Cry Blood Dragon, which is paying homage to the 80s. It's a parody game shooter based on the Far Cry universe, with the gentleman from Terminator. Very fun. A lot of like parodies to like well-known things. So I could recommend that as well. Feeding Frenzy 1 and 2. Simple but very fun. Those were like launch 360 titles. Move that tile up. We have Final Fight. Double Impact, which comes with, I think, also King's Magic or something like that. It's a hack and slasher that's 2D side scroller. Definitely worth for the Final Fight arcade version if you're into it. Flashback, excellent remastered remake, of the original Flashback back on Commodore 64 and the Genesis. It looks like night and day. Beautiful graphics, beautiful artwork, beautiful CGs that they put in, or that they added on. Refined gameplay. Definitely worth the purchase, especially if you can get it on sale. Definitely worth every price or every penny. Forza Horizon 1, which I believe you can't even buy physically anymore. I believe the print is gone, or digitally. I'm not really sure. Another excellent game in the Horizon series, the one that started it all. Foul Play. Foul Play is actually a beat 'em up that these two guys are fighting in a stage, like they're playing in a play and the audience is watching as you're fighting in the game. Really excellent, really stylized, a whole lot of fun. Co-op, I believe it's also via online, I'm not sure. So we continue on, and we have Frogger, the classic, Frogger 2, Galaga, all the Galagas here, even the DX, excellent games, you don't own them. Mark of the Wolf, which is really nice in the SNK King of Fighter series. Gatling Gear. Supposedly it's really good. I heard a number of good things. I haven't really played it. I don't own it. I think my son does. I'm not sure. Continue. We have the Gears of War series. Obviously, if you've never played them. The Geometry Wars. Ghostbusters, the video game, which plays just like Gears of War, but with Ghostbusters. It was actually the story that was supposed to be the third and final chapter in the Ghostbusters movie, based off Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd. Excellent game, good gameplay mechanics, wonderful graphics. The Ghostbusters Sanctum of Slime is a top-down shooter. Kind of, I think, also following the Ghostbusters the video game. You're able to drive Ecto 1 and all that stuff. It's a lot of good fun, kind of like Diablo. A lot easier though, with less elements of RPG. So we continue. We have Golden Axe the Arcade, obviously another Sega classic. Grip Shift, better modernized version they did based off the PSP game of the same name, which actually is the same thing. Grid 2 is another excellent racer. Obviously Grand Theft Auto 4, you know, cult classics that everybody loves. Guardian Heroes and Gunstar Heroes, which are actually two excellent Sega games, exclusive, one for the Saturn and one for Genesis, made by Treasure. I think they both were, which are hack and slash beat 'em up, and the other ones are hack and beat 'em 2D shooter, which never get old. They're fantastic, definitely worth the buy. They're both $5. Then we have Gowon, which is a Dreamcast shooter that never was available until the Xbox 360 store, obviously. Highly regarded, very good game, very unique. I would recommend it. I picked it up on a sale for like $2.75. Continue. Halo Wars, for those who like the RTS genre. It's the one that started it all. Halo Reach was excellent. You know, obviously Halo Assault, which I don't know why they didn't bring Halo Assault Strike 2, which is still on mobile because it's the sequel to that one. The Haunted House, remaster of an Atari game. Very good, very quirky. Kind of feel like Ghostbusters with teenagers. Continue. Heavy Barrel, another good 2D side-scrolling shooter with vehicles like tanks, submarines, ships, helicopters, you name it. It's very good. Co-op also. I don't know if it's via backwards compat. I mean via online only or couch, but I know it's co-op. I would have to look into it. Hitman, obviously, Absolution, one of the better ones in recent memory. Hydro Thunder, the arcade version that was completely remastered and redone with a bunch of new tracks and vehicles and features. This IP actually owns now to Microsoft. They could actually make a Hydro Thunder 2. It's running in great performance now on the backwards compat, like 60 frames solid locked in 1080p. Excellent game. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's a nice boat racer. And you know, it's exclusive also, which is a good plus. And definitely worth giving you a reason for buying it. And it's not too pricey. I Am Alive, excellent game as well from Ubisoft. The original idea and the original concept for The Last of Us. This is the original one. It's obviously a smaller budget one, but the gameplay mechanics are really well made. The game itself is really stylized. It's in black and white with some minute colors here and there. Excellent, highly recommended, cheap, been on sale for several times. I believe given free. Ikagura, another Sega Dreamcast. Excellent shooter. Wonderful. Definitely worth owning. Very stylized. Very unique. Very difficult and challenging. Very fair priced. Highly recommend. Obviously, Justice League, or Injustice rather. Gods Among Us, the first one that was out on 360, but they never brought over the remaster like they did on PS4. We continue. Iron Brigade, another great game, I believe by Tim Schafer. Off-Road by Jeremy Craft. I believe it's a remake of the old arcade game Off-Road, which is pretty decent. I mean, it's nothing to write home about, but you can definitely acquire some achievements. Jet Set Radio, which is the original one, part one on Dreamcast, which was another gem and masterpiece for those who never tried it. Very well priced, also with the HD treatment and better frame rates. Very good price also here via the backwards compat on the Xbox Marketplace, arcade marketplace. Jetpack, a remake of a classic Rare game, which is included with Rare Replay with the first one. Joust, obviously a classic. Joe Danger 1 and 2, the movie. It's a funny game. You can use your avatars. Pretty fun. Family game. Continue. Joyride Turbo, which you could also use your avatars. Juju is an excellent platformer in 60 frames, beautiful colors, with a little shaman, I believe, teddy bear or fuzzy bear. Excellent game, came out of nowhere, left field. Very well priced. Highly recommend if you can get your hands on it. Jurassic Park the game, in the same vein as Telltale games. If you like Telltale games, you'll definitely like this one. Is based off the story after Jurassic Park 1 the movie. Just Cause 2, Cameo, another Rare Replay game that you can play. Kane and Lynch 2, which is going to be given free. Excellent sequel to the original. Fantastic two-player game. I believe it's co-op and couch. I'm not sure. Via online. It's in 60 frames. Definitely worth trying. Didn't get praises it probably deserved, but it's actually a lot of fun and a good shooter with a good story. Same thing with Killer is Dead. Excellent game. I believe from the same people that did Shadows of the Dam, I guess. I could be wrong. It's the same guy though, or the guy who did Suda. It's Suda. It's a Suda 51 game. Excellent hack and slash in stylized form. It's like Kill Bill meets Hellraiser, kind of. It's the best way I could explain it. Obviously, the King of Fighters 98, Arcade Perfect, continue. King of Fighters 2002, another one, Arcade Perfect. Obviously, the two cult classic hits, Land of the Dead, or Left 4 Dead, 1 and 2. Lego Batman, good family fun. All the Lego games there, good family fun. Although the one I could highly recommend is the Star Wars Completed Saga, because it has a lot of bang for your buck, and it was when the Lego games were still in 60 frames, and several sales were still making them in 60 frames. Continue. Limbo, another stylized independent surprise hit from last generation. I got it free for the remastered if you owned it. I highly recommend it if you haven't played it. Low Runner, never really played. Lost Odyssey is from the original creator of Final Fantasy. His first entry into the 360 and Xbox world. It was highly regarded. Didn't really do well, but if you can, it was given off even for free. If you can get it, pick it up. It's worth owning. Lemmings Live, I haven't really played. Mad Tracks, never really played. Magic the Gathering, for those who like, card game, I'm pretty sure it's decent. Now Mars is another good game. That's a very stylized RPG kind of heavy elements. It's actually the first part in what is now the continuation on the Xbox One and the PS4 called Technomancer or Techromancer. This is part 1. It's like a little bit of Mass Effect gameplay style as far as the elements in the combat with RPG elements. If you can pick it up cheap, pick it up. I recommend it. Obviously, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. One of the best Medal of Honor's last generation, Airborne. Had the best level up system for your weapons and your characters. Mega Man exclusive, Mega Man 10 and 9, using the old 8-bit sprites graphics, which I believe will be included in the collection coming out soon. Metal Slug 3 and Metal Slug XX, which is one of those arcade games that never get old. It's just a shame that all of the Metal Slugs haven't been available like they did with the anthology on the Wii and the PS4 now, I believe. It never came to the Xbox. But good games altogether. Same thing with Midway's Arcade Classics. Another retros gamers heaven. Old retro game that you can get a lot of achievements and you know good game time from it because it's a lot of classic games, old school classic games rather. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, continue. Then we have Clash of Heroes. Never played it. Mirror's Edge, obviously, nice pickup. Monkey Island for all those who like the point and click in the series. Then we continue with the Monopolies Plus for Monopoly and board game enthusiasts. Then we have Moon Diver, which is actually a 4-player co-op. I don't remember if it's via online and couch, but it's very Japanese heavy anime style, hack and slash style as well. But it's hard, very difficult. I don't think and recommend it for you to play it by yourself. If if you try to play it by yourself, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, you try to play it by yourself, I think it's going to give you a really hard challenge. Go back to the Moon Diver. Motocross Madness. Never really played it. Mr. Drillers Online and I heard it was good. Miss Pac-Man. Miss Explosion Man, again from the Comic Jumper creators. Excellent game. Mutant Blob Attack. Never really played it. I believe my son owns it. Go down. Continue. You obviously the NBA Jam series. The Neo Geo Battle Coliseum is another excellent arcade version. Where you actually play as one of the characters from Metal Slug. Rally X is an old cool classic. Knights, obviously a Sega Saturn classic. Excellent in its 1080p presentation with 60 frames. Elder Scrolls Oblivion, obviously one of the first games on 360. Continue. Flashpoint, I heard a lot of good things about. Never really played it. Omega 5, I highly recommend. It's like a Forgotten Worlds, basically, is what it is. A new age version of Forgotten Worlds with a girl and a guy, and it's in 3D with beautiful animations of the characters as far as how they look. Plays really well. I think it's backwards compat. I mean, online couch and online. I'm not sure. Flashpoint Red Rivers, Outland, another awesome game. A unique independent game that came out last gen. Highly recommend it. Got it for like $5. Pac-Man. Pac-Man Museums, another excellent one. All the Pac-Man games. Pac-Man Championship Edition is excellent new version of Pac-Man. The Pac-Man, obviously, Championship Edition DX. Continue Pego for a lot of the Pego fans. It's pretty good. Perfect Dark Zero, Fantasy Stars, another classic. I believe, Genesis. It was Genesis game. I don't know if it came out from Masters. Genesis. Fantasy Star 2. Phantom Bat Breakers. I believe that's a beat 'em up in the vein of Scott Pilgrim. The Pinball Effects, another good one. Zombies versus Plants vs. Zombies, the original. Unless you have the Xbox One version. Continue. Obviously Portal and Portal Still Alive, which is 1 and 2, I believe. Prince of Persia Classic, which is the remake of the original one that was on Commodore 64 and the Atari and the arcade. Excellent for the price as well. Putty Squad, Continue. Rage, another excellent game from id. People who do Doom. Let me see. Oh, the Rayman HD, Rayman Legend, Rayman Origins, all excellent. Obviously, Red Dead Redemption, the only place you can play it backwards compat without any hesitation. Red Faction Battlegrounds, never tried it. Continue. Rocket Knight, excellent game. It's a remaster of a Sega Master System game. Beautiful graphics, beautiful animation. Just beat it not too long ago. Highly recommended. Good price. Same thing like the R-Type Dimensions, which actually has that technique where you can change from the old graphics to the new one, just like Halo 1 Anniversary and Halo 2. Excellent game. Excellent shooter. Then we have Sacred 3. Sacred Citadel. Highly recommend it. You can play it 3-player co-op via online and couch. St. Rose 4. The Sam and Max series is also claymation graphic style, but they also like Telltale games, point and click. Continue. Samurai Showdown. Neo Geo Arcade Perfect. Obviously Sonic 3. Sonic 4, Episode 1 and 2. Excellent games. Me personally, I think it's way better than the new upcoming Sonic Mania. Better graphics, better gameplay style. Soul Calibur 2 HD, which you can play online as well. Soul Calibur, the Dreamcast version. Excellent. Especially for the price. Missing maybe one or two things, but not too bad. The Stick of Truth, which is a turn-based RPG from the South Park world. Excellent game. It's getting the sequel soon. Especially if you're into South Park, continue. Spelunky is supposedly a lot of little fun. Explosion Man, another excellent one. I can recommend SSX. Obviously, The Force Unleashed, Star Wars 1 and 2. Excellent games in the Star Wars universe. Stranio, another excellent Japanese space shooter. Stuntman Ignition, haven't played it. I heard it's pretty decent. Continue. Super Meat Boy, it was an independent hit back in the day on the 360 era and the independent, when they started the independent movement. Tekken 6, which you can play via right now if you purchased. I believe it was Tekken 7, you got it free. Tekken Tag Tournament, also another one, is pretty cool. The Cave from Sega, Terry Tim Burton, action platformer. Excellent game, very underrated, very good priced. You have all these characters, and each character that you have to change on the fly to solve certain problems and puzzles within the worlds. A very underrated, very excellent little title. Same thing with them all, excellent from the same people, Comic Jumper, etc., etc. Very good, highly recommend it. Continue. Obviously, the red box for all you Half-Life fans, excellent. The Witcher 2 for all the fans that never really played the Witcher series, which started on the 360 as far as the sequel. And now we have all these Witcher 3 fans that never even played this one, but it's via backwards compatible. You can enjoy it. It's a good game, more linear though, more like level based. Then we have obviously the Rainbow Six series. Torchlight is another decent one. Continue. Toy Stories 1 and Cold War, which they made Toy Stories, or rather Toy Soldiers, which they made a new one where you can use graphic packs of like G.I. Joe, Assassin's Creed, Cobra, He-Man. Really underappreciated games of strategy, action. Really fun. Excuse me, a lot of fun. You never played the two first games, you're very good chance with the backwards bat. Toy Stories 3. Another excellent game, platformer. You'd be surprised how good that game is. Highly recommend it. Good price. Trials HD, another highly regarded indie game from last gen. Trigger Heart Elixia, or Elixka, another top-down shooter in the Japanese style. Trine 2, another excellent game, action platformer with wizards, May, Viking. They never made 1 and 2. I think 3 is exclusive right now to PS4 because that doesn't come out nowhere else. But if you never played any of them, you can try Trine 2. Very good one in the entry in the series. Tron Evolution, that was pretty decent. Continue. Then, of course, we have Unbound Saga, which is basically a new 3D version, interpretation of something like Comic Zone that was on Sega Master System. 2-player co-op. I don't know if it's via online as well. Excellent game, a lot of fun, highly recommend it. Virtual Fighter 5 Final Showdown, one of the best in the series, even though it's missing, some stuff, but it's still excellent for the price you get it. Viva Pinata and Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise for all the Viva Pinata fans and Rare fans. Wolfenstein 3D, the cult classic that started it all in the Wolfenstein series. XCOM for you strategy-based guys like gear like Halo Wars. And then Zuma is like an old school Tetris style game. And Insane Twisted Shadow Planet, which I never really played, but the ones that I talked about, these are the ones I own that I know are good because I played them or I'm playing them still. I own them, so I can recommend them based off my experience and based off what I know as far as good games that are available with good gameplay style and story as well, with some from my experiences going back as far as the arcade and Atari. So I'm going to conclude this video. It's already gone long enough. I appreciate for you sticking around and taking the time. I hope this guide helps you guys, especially for a lot of you guys that don't check the store on and off and that want to know what backwards compat games are actually decent and worth picking up to actually play via backwards compat. I hope this helps you out. Thank you to my assistants for helping you, which is my son, with the video. Without him, this wasn't possible. Thank you very much for your help. Shout outs to all my fans out there and my boys from Intro Media, World of Xbox, and the ones that I hang out on a daily on Xbox Live. Love you guys. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you like the video, please leave a nice comment or leave a negative comment. Give me some constructive criticism. It's all good in my mind. I appreciate it all. And, if you subscribed, I say thank you and I appreciate it because I know you don't have to subscribe to my channel, but it makes you part of my family when you do. Xbox for life, like a sickness that can't be cured. This backwards compatibility feature is amazing. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. It's win-win for all of us. There's no way that this can be a wrong or bad doing for us, the gamers. Peace, guys. Later.